Well, there are
This is WeatherScope.
It's been a stormy day in the southeast, and some of those storms still around. Good Saturday evening. I'm Paul Emick. We're also going to have to take you live to New York Central Park for a look at tomorrow's forecast, too, in the marathon that happens tomorrow. First, Sharon Resulton is standing by in the forecast center with the absolute latest on the severe weather popping tonight across the southeast. Sharon?
Thanks a lot, Paul. We will take you live at the top of the hour to Central Park and around to New York City with Mike Seidel. That's coming up in about 30 minutes. But first, we're going to show you what's going on in the southeast. We're going to start out with our focal point in the severe weather here into southeast Georgia and North Florida. We do still have tornado watches in effect, and notice that into the panhandle area of Florida, the watch area has been chiseled away from that region as that line of thunderstorms is moving on off to the east. Joining me here live is Colin Marquis, senior meteorologist. And Colin, you're going to explain a little bit about the driving force of some of these thunderstorms in the southeast.
Yeah, we had tremendous wind energy in the atmosphere today, and one parameter that we look at when talking about severe weather is the wind fields. And so at the low levels today, we had what we call low-level jet, a few thousand feet off the ground, somewhere around 30 knots coming from the southwest. But higher up in the atmosphere, around 15 or 20,000 feet, we had a jet stream up above 100 miles an hour. And the stronger the wind fields are, the greater the risk if thunderstorms do develop that they will become severe. And that's what was, at least in part, driving the thunderstorms across the south.
That's right. As we look at the satellite picture here, we'll see that indeed we've seen everything kind of pushing off to the east. We're talking about some pretty large hail and some wind damage extending all the way from Mississippi into parts of Georgia and Florida. What can we expect with this for the next couple of hours?
Okay, well, the heaviest weather is right about in there across Florida and South Georgia. And so it seems likely that areas across northern Florida and southeastern Georgia are going to be at greatest risk to see some heavy rain and lightning, and in addition, potentially some hail and gusty winds. There still are tremendously high dew points, particularly for this time of year, up in the mid-60s, and that's going to continue to feed these storms. And so I don't see any reason why these storms wouldn't hold their own over the next several hours as they move east.
Very important for folks so watching from, say, Savannah and points even north and east of that for the next several hours. Tallahassee, some of these storms about ready to barrel down on you, and it looks like the worst is over around Pensacola. Another part of your radar tour taking you up around Atlanta. The air has been a little bit more stable here, and we've seen more of a rain event. Thunderstorms weakening before they reach the Atlanta metro area. It's been points south and east of there that we have seen some of the stronger thunderstorms. storms. And there's a look at where we're looking at this storm by Sunday morning. And Colin, this thing going to follow, a similar but not an exact track of its predecessor that moved
Similar
up the coast.
track. It will be weaker, and there'll be less rainfall, and it will not be as windy for the runners in New York tomorrow.
Good summary to make. Let's talk more about that particular system right now, and there's an impressive satellite.
Okay, yeah, we have a weak area of low pressure, or I should say a small-scale area of low pressure that's working up across Cape Cod. Very interesting situation. So the heaviest rainfall right now is across extreme eastern New England, from Boston down toward the South Shore, and over the course of the next several hours we'll be moving up toward the southeastern parts of Maine.
Okay.
And on the next shot, which is the Doppler, you'll notice that we have some yellows up toward Portsmouth and back down toward Boston, and these are areas of embedded heavier rainfall, and so it looks like over the next hour or so in the Boston area you can expect that, but the back edge notice is making some pretty good progress northward, so probably by about 10:30 or 11 the rain will have shut off in the Boston area. And the other thing actually that we need to talk about is the winds, and earlier this evening around 7 or 8 winds were gusting to around 70 miles an hour on Cape Cod. It seems like the winds have peaked there, are starting to come down. Now we're only seeing gusts in the 40 to 50 mile an hour range. I say only, that's still very windy.
Absolutely.
And people need to be aware of that. But now we're seeing the winds pick up in the Boston area. Latest check is that gusts are approaching 60 miles an hour in the Boston metro area. And that's enough to bring down some trees and knock down some power lines right in the heart of Boston.
And that has been a big feature. We've got some wind damage reports, and I'll tell you something, heading into much of the northeast parts of New York and Connecticut, lots of trees and power lines down.
Yeah, we do have some reports from western Massachusetts and Rensselaer County and eastern New York. And lastly, I do want to mention that interior sections of New England, particularly toward the higher elevations, are also at risk to see gusts above 50 tonight.
All right, Colin Marquis, thank you very much. All right, that wraps it up, and we're going to toss it back to the studio now with Paul Emick. He's got the rest of the nation's weather.
Great, thanks a lot, Sharon. We are indeed a nation of contrast tonight. All the wet weather around places like Boston, we just showed you momentarily, dry and warm in the west, and little action in the middle, including some snow to talk about. Let's look at the upper Midwest now and talk about some of the wet and, in some cases, some of the flaky weather taking place, including northern parts of Minnesota, even out toward the Arrowhead. Right now, most of the snowfall has been kind of coming down around Hibbing and also around Brainerd and points westward. Also, some rain. You see the trough there? Well, that's kind of acting as one of the mechanisms to kick off some of the showers, including the moisture that's there. It acts on that. You can look and see across most of Michigan some pretty good rains there, pretty moderate soaking rains. Now around Jackson, around Grand Ledge, Charlotte, probably kind of getting ready to clear out around Coldwater here momentarily, but still some showers to speak of tonight at times around Detroit, Ann Arbor, around Hamtramck.